StudyIQ IAS, आपका सिलेक्शन हमारा मिशन.
The first half of 20th century has been one of the most difficult years for the human race. The First World War and the Second World War. Now, amidst this, the writers tried to capture the essence of that atmosphere, that ambience, what was going in the people's heart. It was, of course, a world which was deprived of anything that was spiritual, of anything that made them believe that there is a supreme power up there looking for them. So there was a huge faith in crisis. Now, amidst all this comes this writer, T.S. Eliot, who in 1922 completely changed the way modern writing was interpreted. With his exceptional work, जैसे Wasteland or The Last Song of J. Alfred Prufrock or Four Quartets or so many other works that he has written, he emphasized upon the fact that this world is completely devoid of any spirituality, and it is very important for us to believe in something. Otherwise, the world was rendered hopeless by him. So over here, T.S. Eliot, the Nobel Prize winners, will be talking about a very important work that is there in UPSC English Literature syllabus, and that is The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock. So I, Dr. Anamta Rizvi, will be going ahead with this discussion. It's a very important class, guys. So all my students are preparing for UPSC English Literature subject. Make sure that you attend the class and understand that what it is. So we are going to talk about The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock, and there is a very kind of a image that he talks about. So I'll just make you imagine. Just imagine that that you're walking through a city. Okay, imagine karo ek city mein tum log ja rahe ho, and there is this evening sky, and this evening sky does not look like an evening sky. There's a different picture. This evening sky looks as if एक stretch है, ये बहुत बड़ा सा stretch है against the horizon, like a patient who is just lying on that table. Now you can imagine the sickness, the hollowness, the grim reality that T.S. Eliot is trying to capture of this modern world. This striking opening images instantly drops us into T.S. Eliot's modern universe. And what was this? A world that feels profoundly numb. Bleak, dark, numb, that's not active, that's not responding to anything, that's clinically cold and spiritually devoid, paralyzed of anything. Now that was T.S. Eliot for all of you. Prufrock, Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock में जो character है Prufrock का, that character is a character quintessentially of the modern world. वो confused है, indecisive है, डरा सा रहता है, सोचता है कि लोग उसके बारे में क्या सोचेंगे, जो एक नॉर्मल दुनिया में हम लोग फील करते हैं. तो उसने प्रूफ्रॉक को एक मॉडर्न दुनिया का वो आदमी, वो शख्स दिखाया है. एंड ही इज दैट Prufrock makes us think that, are we also thinking like that? Are we also as conscious as Prufrock? Are we also as, you feel so, you can say, helpless, and we feel like hollow within us? So Prufrock leads us through half-deserted, smoke-choked streets, mapping out an internal landscape of intense isolation and psychological decay. So intense isolation, that is what Prufrock feels in this modern world. You feel isolated, you feel alienated, as if कोई आपके साथ नहीं है, कोई किसी की बात सुन नहीं रहा है, कोई समझ नहीं रहा है. This is the reason why this poem is relevant in today's time also, guys, because that is what alienation is all about. There are so many people who are committing suicide. Why? Because there's hardly anybody who understands. There's lack of empathy, there's lack of compassion, there's lack of sympathy. And that is what this modern world is about, and that is what he's trying to say. So firstly, about intense isolation, जहाँ पे आप अकेला feel करते हो, intense isolation, and psychological decay. And psychologically you are decaying. So it really talks about your mental health. It talks about the importance of keeping yourself rooted to art, culture that spiritually fills you with something and not devours your soul. Okay, so moving ahead, the fragmented mind stream of consciousness and broken logic. So classic poetry, जो classic poetry होती है वो क्या follow करती है? एक linear narration follow करती है, near narrative, but Eliot shatters that tradition by using a fragmented stream of consciousness. Okay, so he uses that stream of consciousness. He uses that basically, wherein he is not pausing anything before, he's not thinking before he writes something. He is just just narrating whatever thoughts come in his mind. There is no comma, there's no pause, there's no structure to his writing. Whatever is coming, he's just writing, and that is how he's written this work. We are logged inside Prufrock's mind, jumping erratically from women talking about Michelangelo to sudden anxious thoughts about his thinning hair. So there's no chronology to the thoughts. Kabhi he's thinking about women. So sometimes he's thinking about Michelangelo ki work, paintings. Sometimes he's talking about kari mere baal bade thin ho rahe hain. Okay, so there is just no relation to his thoughts, and that is what stream of consciousness is, and that is what modern poetry writing was for T.S. Eliot. So this disjointed structure perfectly mimics the psychological reality of the modern era, where the human mind feels fractured by the chaos of urban life. So this is what life is. It feels fragmented. It feels as हम लोग टुकड़ों में जिंदगी जी रहे हैं. That shatters your soul, because इसी अपने writing के through दिखाना चाहा है कि कैसे हम लोग जो सोचते हैं, this is how a psychological decay is happening. Our thoughts are not linear. Our world is not linear. We are living in a fragmented world. That is what he wanted to show in his stream of consciousness technique. The prison of indecision, time for 100 indecisions. Prufrock is completely paralyzed by a profound existential anxiety, trapped in a seemingly endless cycle of hesitation and self-doubt. Prufrock always self-doubts himself. It's very indecisive. कोई डिसीजन नहीं ले सकता है, हमेशा सेल्फ डाउट करता है. सेल्फ डाउट कब करता है इंसान? जब तू अपने आप को दूसरे से कंपेयर करता है, जब खुद की सोल नर्चर नहीं होती, नरिश नहीं होती, जब खुद आप अपने आप को स्पिरिचुअली you're starved yourself spiritually. So यहाँ पे Prufrock, a modern citizen, a modern person living in this modern world, is always self-doubting himself that I'm not good enough. Can I do this? I can't do that. So over here, he constantly reassures himself that there will be time to act, yet he's utterly terrified of making a single move or asking an overwhelming question. वो हमेशा कहता है एक दिन वक्त आएगा जब मैं ये करूँगा, मैं वो करूँगा, लेकिन उसके लिए वो वक्त कभी आता ही नहीं है. He is still there, unmoved, doesn't do anything, but he's just waiting and waiting. ये बाद में थी, हम लोग उसमें भी देखें, Waiting for Godot में सैमुअल बेकेट जो 1952 में प्ले आया था. So he's constantly waiting, but he's not doing. He's like, there will be time when I do this. But when is that time coming? For him, that time never comes. Through this agonizing hesitation, Eliot captures the core spiritual crisis of the modern intellectual, a mind that analyzes so much it becomes incapable of action. तो Eliot यही कहना चाह रहा है कि जब हम लोग इतना ज़्यादा ओवर एनालाइज करते हैं अपनी लाइफ को, इतना डाउट में रहते हैं, इतना सेल्फ जजमेंट होता है, सेल्फ क्रिटिक होता है, सेल्फ लोदिंग होती है, देन व्हाट हैपेंस इज दैट nobody takes the action. वो एक्शन ही कभी नहीं ले पाते हैं. तो if you think that कि whenever you are always criticizing yourself, critiquing yourself, self-doubting yourself, ultimately what happens that you are incapable of doing that action, and that is a modern person living in this modern world. Then T.S. Eliot talks about the measured life. This is a beautiful metaphor that he uses, coffee spoons and social triviality. ये इस पे बहुत questions पूछे गए हैं. And Prufrock looks back at his existence and delivers one of the most famous lines in the history of literature. And what is that? I have measured out my life with coffee spoons. Coffee spoons. Over here talks about social gatherings, about the shallow things, in which he just was there, was just present physically, but mentally, spiritually, emotionally, there was no connection with anyone. So this line exposes the crushing superficiality of his social world, where life is measured by empty, polite conversations, parties, rather than having intense conversations, having passionate conversations that actually nourish your soul. Nobody talks about what they're feeling. Nobody talks about their difficulties or the art or what they feel, what they want to, what do they look forward in life. But this is also superficial, and that's modern world. When there's intensity is so low, the passions are so low. Everything is to keep a facade, to keep an image, to keep a certain perspective in people's mind that I am like that. So Eliot uses this imagery to critique a spiritually bankrupt, polite society where people wear artificial masks to meet other masks, burying their true self. So people are just constantly burying their true self. Nobody wants to show the real self because they doubt that, oh, they will be judged in the society. They will not be accepted in the society. If they don't behave in this certain manner, they would be excommunicated. They will not be invited to parties. They will be socially completely, kind of boycotted. So these are the things that Prufrock also thinks about. This is the reason that his entire life is just leading without any passion. This is the reason he feels alienated. He feels so psychologically weak. The fear of rejection formulating the self on a pin. So Prufrock is deeply terrified of what? He's terrified of being judged, imagining himself pinned to a wall like a wriggling insect specimen under the critical gaze of others. He feels कि अगर वो अपने बारे में लोगों को बताएगा कि what he feels, people will think that he's crazy. People will look him and judge him and find him amusing. And this is the reason he doesn't talk to anyone, doesn't share his real feelings. He desperately wants to express his deepest emotions, but he is frozen by the agonizing fear. उसको डर लगता है, उसको होता है कि मैं बात करूं, मैं अपने इमोशंस एक्सप्रेस करूं, but he fears what? That a woman will simply say, that is not what I meant at all. So कोई आएगा बोलेगा, what are you saying? That is not what I meant. What are you trying to talk about? Okay, so people will think that he does not belong here. He fears to be judged. So this intense social paranoia causes him to shrink away from human connection. This is the reason he's not able to connect with anybody on a human level, wishing he were just a pair of rugged claws scuttling across silent seas. So I wish I was just some other creature and not a human who would just be free in this world and not be under this burden of judgment by the societal judgment. The Silent Mermaid, Spiritual Bankruptcy, and the Unheard Song. Now the poem reaches its devastating climax when Prufrock looks out at the ocean and admits, I have heard the mermaids singing, each to each. I do not think that they will sing to me. Now the mermaids over here, what are they representing? They're representing romance, myth, imagination, fancy, wonder, amusement. So over here the mermaids represent romance, myth, and the grand spiritual vitality of the past. A beautiful world of creative imagination that Prufrock can never touch. So he's like that, I can hear them. I can hear them singing, but I can never achieve that. I can never touch that. I'm so spiritually devoid of so many things that I can't just touch that. Eliot leaves us with a haunting final warning. We linger in the chambers of the sea until human voices wake us and we drown in a mechanical modern reality. He's like, it is time that we need to wake up. We need to wake up ourselves psychologically, emotionally. We are devoid. We are living in complete vacuum, and we need to wake up before this world completely engulfs us, takes us, consumes us with our modern reality. This modern reality needs to be combated with a lot of awareness about our own selves, our emotional needs, our spiritual needs. And that is how the poem ends. Again, guys, a very important work. T.S. Eliot, The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock. Wasteland is not in your course, but this poem is in your course. And this was a very small, snippet in order to show you how the classes are conducted in a more profound manner. Every line of this poem will be discussed. Every line will be analyzed. Notes will be given to you about T.S. Eliot, about this poem, what PYQs have been asked, what expected questions can come in the exam. Everything is talked in detail in the classes. Every day, 1 p.m. I have my class. And the next fresh batch that we are starting is on 13 July. We'll be going ahead with the novel section, of course, and all my students are really serious about cracking their exam in the upcoming examination, wherein you have taken UPSC English Literature as the optional subject. Be a part of the course and you will understand that how important it is for you all to learn this and learn and be guided with what kind of answers to be written, क्या इसका analytical, किस तरह से इसका analytical judgment होता है, किस तरह से poem पढ़ी जाती है, so that whatever question comes in the exam, you're able to sail through very easily. All right, so guys, I'm repeating 13 July, mark that calendar. It's a very important date wherein the fresh batch is starting. Be a part of the courses and I hope to see you all in the classes.
StudyIQ IAS, आपका सिलेक्शन हमारा मिशन.